Welcome to a brand new episode of the Real Life Podcast, a member of the Nation Network of Podcasts and delivered by DoorDash.
What was that?
Me, you guys. I get a moist mouth.
All night long, all I dream about is like the mountains in my hair. So I'm ready to do some business.
Welcome in. It is episode 408 of the Real Life Podcast. Yaremchuk, Wanye, bagged milk. No Christopher Chalmers once again.
Wow. Color me shocked. Really makes you wonder.
Yeah.
I was sure he was going to be here for this one.
I think there's only one explanation. Have you guys seen the movie Fire in the Sky?
No.
It's about a UFO that captures a couple driving down a rural American road and performs terrifying experiments on them in their UFO for days on end. It's a true story.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I think with Chalmers, we're looking at a Fire in the Sky scenario where I'm probably guessing he's been kidnapped by aliens.
See, and I wasn't up early enough to know if Mrs. Chalmers was on the news this morning. So this very well could be.
Well, this is probably why they got him, is our alien overlords are trying to replace our public figures with clones, right? So Aaron Chalmers is key if you want to take over Edmonton. And if you kidnap her husband when they're driving down a rural road, replace her with a clone and don't replace him with a clone, it doesn't matter. And we're the only people that noticed.
That all makes sense to me. That tracks.
Chalmers, if you can hear us in the UFO.
Yeah, send us some kind of signals, Chalmers.
Yeah.
Bagged Milk and I talked about maybe a bit we do, since Chalmers may never come back, we don't know, is to start auditioning new members of the podcast.
Yep.
So like bringing on people we kind of know, or the podcast kind of knows, and just having them sit in like it's a normal episode and they're just contributing. Like, don't interview them or anything. They're just here to talk about what we're talking about. And we just do 2 months of that, of like a search for a new co-host.
But they have to change their name to Chris Chalmers if they join the show.
Yeah, kind of like when Paul McCartney died.
Breaking, gentlemen.
Oh, yes.
Breaking. Christopher Chalmers has just replied to the Real Life group chat saying, guys, I can't do it again today. I'll be there Thursday for sure, as this house is getting to a spot where I don't have to be here every day. Sorry, guys.
Let's go
back. Message him.
Chalmers update.
Message him back. Are you in a UFO sex probe room? Y/NASL.
Let's throw things back to August 18th, which was a Thursday, when Chalmers said, this is the last week I'm at this place full time. I'll be back next week in full force. If this is what full force looks like.
You know that church
this is turning into Matt Damon on the Jimmy Kimmel Show bit, you know, where he never has time for Matt Damon.
You know that church in Spain, Sagrada Familia, it's been under construction for like 1,000 years. I feel like that's every Chalmers house is a Sagrada Familia that's been under construction since 1994. I'm just about to leave this church, honey. I swear I'll be home by noon. 1,300 years later.
Never to be seen again. Well, maybe one day. The
sad thing is we pay him. He's truly stealing money from us every month.
Yes. I respect the hustle. It's kind of like his version of a one and done.
It's outrageous. He grifted us. He came on, he hit us with some projects and some ongoing bits. He did none of them. He got the bag and dipped. Now, it's not a big bag, but it's still money.
No, it's a slow drip. You know, it's like what they were planning on doing in that movie Office Space, where they just a little bit at a time for long periods of time.
When me and Jane Chalmers bought a bar when we were 23, ill-advised, by the way, if you're thinking of financial planning, we were doing all the renos, and it was like all our buddies, and we just kept day after day after day bringing in different crews of buddies to get drunk and help us do commercial grade renos, right? And Chalmers is a partner in the company. And one night he comes, he's like, I need you, Wanye, to take all the vents and scrub them. Like, go around the floor, like the walls, and get all the vents and scrub them. I'm like, okay. And I'm in the kitchen dutifully scrubbing all these vents. 3 hours later, a drunk Chris Chalmers wanders in and goes, why are you scrubbing vents? I'm like, because you told me to. He's like, oh, yeah, I had to give you a job you couldn't fuck up. But you know what, Chris Chalmers?
Good.
This fucking, 16 years later? Now you're just straight grifting our podcast.
Unbelievable.
That's pretty good.
Start his life up.
What are you doing in your scrubbing vents? You fucking told me to do it. Oh, yeah, I did give you a job you couldn't fuck up. Yeah.
Well, you didn't fuck it up, to be fair. So
Well,
nailed it.
there was a lot of chaos. I pulled down an overhead bulkhead with a crowbar, not knowing that there was HVAC inside of it. And I like took a running leap at this thing and like dug the crowbar in and just hung from it. Then Chalmers came around the corner as I like completely collapsed the HVAC system and we had to fix it all. Another time I broke a water pipe in the wall and it was spraying water out everywhere. Then I got to go clean vents.
Just living the dream.
Vents need to be cleaned and somebody needs to do it and somebody needs to own it.
Then Chalmers brought a contractor in to put paint on the roof and he accidentally lit the roof on fire. And then I was coming back. Yeah, I was coming back to the bar from Home Depot where I was buying vent cleaning supplies. And there was like 2 fire trucks in front of the bar. And I was like, holy fuck. And I went inside to find the roof was completely scorched. And that was Chalmers' guy that he called in, his buddy.
Burnt the roof down.
The damn whole near thing almost went up in flames.
I wouldn't know what to do in such a situation. I would just look at it and be like, well, I got all the firemen to agree to come to the grand opening, which I was convinced would be about 2 weeks later. And instead it was 6 months later.
And then the NHL lockout happened shortly thereafter, right?
Yeah, it was a hit parade of awesomeness.
You didn't have a lot of breaks go your way, hey?
Thank God we had all that alcohol to drink.
Yeah, that didn't really go your way. The old lockout.
We had a good time.
Well,
we got
the liver's evil must be punished.
What's that?
The liver's evil must be punished. We learned that time.
No, we had a good time. Good time.
But the new bar you've started has had breaks go its way. Because you guys, that thing is, when I'll come into work on a Tuesday at noon, because I obviously don't show up to work before noon. And the place was really bumping on a Tuesday.
It's bizarre, hey? It's an optical illusion, though. It's because it's so small, the Dogpatch, right?
Have you ever tried to go get... Tyler, have you ever tried to get brunch on a Saturday or Sunday at Dogpatch?
Once, yes. It was very busy.
Impossible. I took my lunch and I ate it at Nation HQ. That's what I did. I couldn't find a place to sit.
If like 45 people show up, if like 8 tables and 1 group show up, we are full to the brim.
Yeah.
The real problem I have with the building is not Dogpatch or the size of Dogpatch, but actually bread and butter. I actually now, Wanye, I've resorted to walking into an other door outside of bread and butter because I am crushing those pizza rolls that they have down there.
So good.
Oh, they're good.
It's a big problem.
The amount of times I'll be like leaving my house to go into work and I'm like, oh, I didn't pack lunch today or anything. What am I going to eat? And then halfway through my drive, I'll just be like, pizza roll? I probably have like 3 a week. They're delicious. Microwave them for 30 seconds. Oh, forget about it.
Come on. It's good living.
It's nice that you can have meetings downstairs in Dogpatch and not have to bring people necessarily up into the office.
Yeah.
Because there's like a social element to meeting somebody at Little Brick. That was always helpful, right? Like if you had a meeting at Little Brick, but you could have it in a cafe environment, that's a lot less stressful than meeting in like a boardroom or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact you can just be like, oh, meet me downstairs. We have a liquor dispensing station. That's very helppful.
You get a nice bowl of soup as well. Come on.
Who wouldn't like a nice bowl of soup?
Everybody loves a nice bowl of soup and a flight of, what are those called? Mimosas.
I had soup for lunch.
Yeah, you hit them with a Bellini flight, a bowl of soup, and then at the end is when you slip in whatever it is you're trying to trick them into.
Yeah, that's when you send them the ask. The assumptive close, Tyler.
These bread bowls ain't free, bitch.
Someone's got to pay for them.
I would need you to sell me 50,000 paper clips at below wholesale price.
A business question for you. Have those two entities, have things gone like relatively smoothly since opening? Have they like outperformed your expectations? Like what's it been like?
Well, so we were supposed to open in May of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And instead we just celebrated our first anniversary.
Yeah.
So what was that? September 2021. So that gap in time was extremely expensive. Because it was like, oh, you want to open up Dogpatch? Sure. All restaurants are illegal. Oh, like there isn't a restaurant concept you could open that would have succeeded because you couldn't have indoor dining, right?
Mm-hmm.
So since they opened, there was still some shutdown stuff. Like we opened, there were still restrictions. There was still all sorts of crazy shit, right? So it wasn't exactly like off to a roaring success. But like as it's gone through the year, especially this summer with the weather having been so beautiful, Riverdale's on fire.
Figuratively.
On fire. Yeah. Well, yeah, not literally. Although I should say that my street was on fire this morning because one of the houses under construction caught fire.
Oh.
So I came out this morning and was like, I do believe the next level of the apocalypse has begun.
Was it like super smoky?
Were you house sitting?
No.
What's that?
Was it like super smoky outside? I was house sitting. All right.
Yeah, super smoky.
All right. We're going to do something here that we're now committed to doing once every week. It's every Monday. We start the show by opening up the bag and reading what kind of reviews we've gotten over the last 7 days.
Oh, yeah.
I do see a lot in here about, for Oilers Nation Radio Bag Milk. So we'll have lots to cover when we get that pod later in the week.
Mm-hmm.
But the first one comes in from Cautious Tooth 69.
Ooh.
Nice. Somehow that makes sense. The title is Tyler Has a Gun to My Head and is making me review. Help.
Right.
Gave us 5 stars though. So that worked.
Nice
Great
job with the gun to the head, Tyler.
Yeah. Great podcast for Oilers fans. Kyler Hamchunk and the boys combine humor with hockey talk while somehow remaining very well spoken on other topics. This makes for a truly entertaining combo that helps fill the gap until hockey season. It's a good review.
That's a very nice review.
Kyler Hamchunk.
Mm-hmm. This one comes in from the rookie who said, spectacular nonsense making love to my ear balls.
Ear balls or ear holes, you sick pervert.
That's so descriptive.
5 stars though. I still love the show.
We were making love to his ears.
Mm-hmm. I still love the show, even though I lost out prizing to the guy who endorsed the unconsensual fingering of Yaremchuk. That was not comfortable reading for me. Tyler secretly wishes Jay was his dad and Wanye was his daddy. Chalmers is easily at his best when he doesn't show. Bagged milk is golden. Who doesn't love a good BM from the rookie?
That is funny.
Give him a prize.
Well, we got a few more here to choose from.
Okay.
This one comes in from J7177. Gave us 5 stars with the title Liam. And the review says more Liam.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this 100%. Liam or is this the banana industry speaking? Jesus H.
Yeah. Big banana wants more Liam.
A grand total of 3 words on that review. This one came in 6 days ago. Nation Real Life from Skibum 1230 or 1230, depending on how you read it. We actually read this one on ONR, but anyways, it says Real Life, not ONR. If you're looking for good hockey content, this is not the podcast for you.
Fair criticism.
Yeah. Yep.
If you are anything like me, listening to some of Jay's rants about the Oilers drives me to the point of cutting off my ears. In brackets, dad is part of the solution. In spite of that, I really like this podcast.
In spite of all the times it sucks, I like it.
The core 3 of Jay, Tyler, and Bag Milk is good, but appearances by Wanye and Chalmers really make the show 5-star quality.
Appearances? You piece of shit. I've probably done 85% of these shows. We're on episode like 412, for heaven's sakes. I've probably done 380 of these things.
You're being lumped in with Chalmers.
You are.
Chalmers. Appearances.
They go on to say, I wish they both attended more. All the nonsense and real life talk is great, and for the most part Oilers talk is decent, except when Jay speaks. Great podcast. Bring back Wayne. I'm assuming that meant Wanye
or Wayne. Bring back Wayne.
What the fuck? The first year of this show was me in Mexico doing this podcast with Stredwick and Gregor. Do you even fucking remember the backstory? Appearances by.
That's good. That's good stuff. So the ones
it gets the old blood boiling, the old reviews. Thanks, everybody.
Nation Real Life featuring Wanye.
Yeah.
Featuring Wanye. So we have these ones to choose from. The most recent one, which took a bunch of shots at Wanye. The one that just said more Liam. The one about ear balls and I wish Jay was my dad. From the rookie, or the first one I read, which was Tyler has a gun to my head and is making me review. Help. What do we think? Who gets you?
I like the guy who said I was lazy and never came on the show. To be honest, he struck a few chords. I'd like him to win the prize.
I'm just going to vote for more Liam.
Yeah.
You guys are going to make me choose, hey?
Supreme Court is split.
Yeah.
You know, I do like the reviews that put in a good amount of effort. So I'm going to say the one about Wanye and Chalmers not showing up enough. It criticized us a little bit in a weird way, but then came back to say that they love us in spite of that. So
we want to improve. We're glad to hear your baseless criticism based on nothing.
Ski Bum 1230. If you want, email me, Tyler@OilersNation.com, and say I'm the real life review winner, and I will get you some Oodle Noodle sent in your direction, and an Oodle Noodle GC. So shout out to our friends at Oodle Noodle. Also, shout out to our friends at DoorDash. Ding dong. Promo code RealLifeDD gets you 25% off and no delivery fees. Shout out to Ski Bum 1230, who is scoring himself an Oodle Noodle gift card for leaving us a review. Email me, Tyler@OilersNation.com.
And when you're sitting there eating your free Oodle Noodle, Ski Bum 69, say, "Oh, I wonder who the owners of Oodle Noodle are." Wanye again, the lazy guy, you asshole.
Over the last week, we've been given nothing but 4 and 5-star reviews for the entire podcast network, except for a single 1-star review for, should I say the podcast that got us our 1-star review?
Yeah.
Dropping the Gloves, our most successful podcast.
John Scott, we knew it.
Oh,
that takes.
Son of a bitch.
Because you don't know your Oilers, John Scott.
A man so popular, he was written into the All-Star game, deserves a 1-star review.
Yeah. So we're outperforming them, but only in terms of number of 5-star reviews attained this week. Either way, I think we take that. I think that's solid.
Yeah.
If you listen to this podcast, thank you, first of all. And you take the time to review it, thank you. Second of all, feel free to say whatever you want about us. At this point, we've got you by the short and curlies. If you're taking the trouble to review us, it really doesn't matter what you say, because that means you listen.
Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, and you could be featured on the next episode of the show. And if I could ever find out a way to read reviews from not Apple Podcasts, I'll get around to that, but I'm not sure if that exists. So there you go.
I got a review for you. Kaler Yamchunk. What was it?
Yeah, it was Kaler Yamchuk.
Is that a Better Late Than Never bit?
Yeah, I call you all kinds of different names on Better Late Than Never. I do. You are my favorite special boy, but I do call you all kinds of names.
Well, and also you didn't ask me anything the other day on, you didn't ask me anything on Instagram, and you took a shot at me about how Rick's better than me at everything.
What?
Yeah, except kissing me, of which case you are elite.
Oh my God. Has Rick been at the All-Star game asking Connor questions? No offense to Rick.
Well, I mean, he's been sort of, I guess, maybe. I don't know.
Paradoxically,
he's asked Connor all the questions.
To your defense, Tyler, what is going on?
Got the reviews done. Oh, need to give some love to our title sponsor, the HGA Group. I forgot to do that off the jump. Here to make your business better. Check out the HGA Group. Man, Bag Milk, did you watch any of that baseball this weekend?
Yeah, and it was all awful.
Terrible.
You Blue Jays fans, every fucking year you start out, you're like, oh my God, this is the year we signed Googaloo Doo-Doo to $12 trillion. And he's the best right center fielder tight end you've ever heard of. And then you get to this point of the year and I'm like, not paying attention. I'm like, how are the Jays doing? And you're all suicidal because you never see this shit coming, yet all you eat is shit.
It's the worst for me, actually, Wanye, because this year, at the beginning of the year, I said to the boys at BJN, at Blue Jays Nation, I said, I'm going to be a Jays guy this year. I'm getting into it. I'm jumping in. I went and I bought 2 or 3 hats. I bought a couple of jerseys. I'm in. The excitement was real. And correct me if I'm wrong here, Tyler, but I found the Jays so far watching, I'd say probably about 85% of the games this year. They're incredibly inconsistent. Some games they'll look on fire. They're just dummying balls. And then other games, they just can't hit anything. It's very confusing to watch.
They were 1 for 25 with runners in scoring position against the Angels. It was awful. And I do like that you said you've consumed about 85% of the games, because I'm in the same boat as you. I watch pretty much every game. Do you find yourself emotionally invested in them though? Are you mad when they lose?
I was getting angry the other day. There was just, I don't know how many guys in scoring position the Jays had over that series against the Angels where they just couldn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Or just they would get a guy on base, say first batter up, no outs, walk, hit, doesn't matter. They would get somebody on base. You're like, all right, we're going to start a little something here. We're going to get going. And then just nothing. And then things that you point out to me via text, I tend to remember with I tend to remember maybe more than other stuff, just because it's you that sent it to me. So now every time Matt Chapman has 2 strikes, as an example, I fucking laugh because I know he's going to strike out, and he tends to do it most of the time.
Yeah.
So it's been a big season of learning for me this year, Tyler.
Yeah, they're a really frustrating team. Like, especially because the last few seasons, there were no expectations on them. They basically went into those years like, hey, they're going to be junk. They're rebuilding. It's all good. Last year's like, oh, maybe they surprise us, but who knows? And this was finally like the first year out of the rebuild, kind of like the Jays or the Oilers coming out of the 2017 season when they made the playoffs. Like the Jays were coming into the season. I was like, all right, this is a young team stepping into like contender mode. And to see them just be so disinterested at some points is wildly, wildly frustrating. It's very, very annoying to watch.
Though on the bright side, Tyler, were you with me? Like on Saturday, Shohei Ohtani is a fucking freak in this league. The guy is a starting pitcher that also plays outfield when he's not pitching. The guy's just an absolute freak. So I will say though, on Saturday, I really enjoyed the pitching matchup between Manoah and Ohtani.
That is a very strange beast.
He's a freak.
He is.
And I don't, Tyler, why would you like, is it because he plays for the Angels that he's not a bigger celebrity than he is? Like, I feel like if he played for the Yankees or something, everybody would know everything about him.
He's a new Babe Ruth.
He is. He would be the new Babe Ruth if he played on the Yankees, right? In the sense that I think the media coverage would be greater. I think just because that team's not good, right? Like if they had made a couple of runs through the postseason here and gotten a bunch of games on national TV, it'd be different. Like baseball fans and like diehard sports fans obviously know a lot about Shohei Ohtani, but for what he's doing and the unicorn he is to that sport, I'm really surprised that there isn't more fanfare about this guy because he's just
the Angels' best season was that year they had the movie Angels in the Outfield, right? That was the best season they ever had.
Yep.
That was with Christopher Lloyd, I believe, wasn't he in that?
Their owner is more or less like getting pushed to sell the team. If you read the tea leaves, because it's just they're helpless. Like they'll never be. The owner specifically will never be able to get out of his own way. So
who is he? What is he doing? Tell me the story.
His name's Art Moreno, and he's kind of just known as like super hands-on. Very like, hey, we're spending $350 million, and then if his GM is like, we're spending it on pitching, he's like, absolutely not. Like, you're going to get this superstar for me. And like, it's basically, he's hands-on. He's always in the mix with shit. He's kind of
young or old?
He's old.
Has he been doing it a long time?
Yeah, he's on the team for a bit here. What's his age? Art Moreno, American.
Has Mike Trout ever made the playoffs?
I think he was swept one year, or they made the wild card game one year or something like that. But Art Moreno, he bought the team in 2003, purchased them from the Walt Disney Company. He's 76 years old, and he's going to sell the team now, which is good.
It's amazing that back in the day, Peter Pocklington was the owner GM of the Oilers. Hey?
Right?
Yeah.
And Sather's the coach, and he's like, I'll be GM. Like, what the fuck?
Kind of like Jerry Jones, right?
Yeah. To have the brass to think that you have what it takes to be an NHL GM because you're good at business and bought a team when there's people who work their entire lives in the sport to be qualified to be the GM. Like, be smart enough to hire an expert.
I think that's good advice for a lot of things in life. Right now, I need to put a railing or like a banister on the stairs. And I thought maybe I could do it by myself. So I went and I bought all the things that I needed. And I quickly learned that I could not do that myself. It seems like quite the task. And I'm not much of a handyman at all. So I'm hiring someone who's an expert to do it for me.
Is it Chris Chalmers?
No, it's not Chris Chalmers. I can't get him to show up to the damn podcast. What makes you think I'm going to be able to get him to my house for like a day and a half of work?
I had a buddy who was supposed to come put a new deck on Wanye Manor, the majestic deck of majestic Wanye Manor. And he came in February and like looked at everything and he's like, okay, I get it. And I'm like, are you going to be able to do this when the snow melts? Yeah, you'll be my first job of the summer. He still has not started my deck.
Cool.
How many years are we talking? How many years we wait on this deck?
Well, we're 7 months in. And this is my boy.
Oh,
he's not going to, it's not a Chris Chalmers diddle. This is a guy who's very dedicated. And he's like, the whole construction industry is fucked, man.
Yeah.
I think that's what
our can't get people to work, can't get materials, all of the above.
All of the above. All his projects are delayed. He's supposed to have an 8-man crew. He has a 3-man crew. All his subs are fucking off. He doesn't actually build decks for a living. This is the other problem. I'm just like, can you build my deck? He's like, that's not what I do. And I'm like, yeah. But like, you can send a guy over to do it. He's like, yeah, I will. And then we haven't got to that point. I think this is what Chalmers is dealing with, is this fucker.
Yeah.
So I think he has to do a lot more of the work himself than he normally does.
Oh. Chalmers getting back to his roots.
Bag Milk, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm no longer in the part of my house that has the roof is ceiling and ceiling is, or floor is ceiling and ceiling is floor.
I did notice that. I was actually going to ask you if you set up your little studio there, because behind
your
you,
light is just golden. You look great.
Yeah.
You got a really nice, do you got a ring light there?
So this is the big light that I bought when I was in Montreal, or that Frank made me buy when I was in Montreal, that Jay is in love with. He thinks it's the best light in the world. And then behind me on the floor, actually, I have like that blue light shooting up. So the walls kind of like lit up blue.
That's what that is.
And I'm trying to think of how I best want to design the area behind me. I'm very torn.
Get a neon, buddy. Get a neon that says Kyler Ham Chunk is the tits.
I was thinking like there's a couple cool ways to go about it. Like, because when I'm sitting in this spot, I think I'm going to be mainly doing like daily face-off stuff. So could I get like a big neon daily face-off custom logo, and how much does that cost me? And then when I'm on the other side of the room, which is going to be, I think, my Oilers Nation studio, I would love to just get maybe the Oilers Nation logo, but I also think it'd be sweet to have like Oilers Nation just kind of like handwritten and have that like sitting on top of me while I do shit. That might be cool.
You should get an artist to come in and paint it on the wall directly with airbrush.
Get a mural behind me, like painted, of all the Nation folk.
Yeah. Just be like when we were at the Playmaker office, just put all the logos up there.
That's cool. They do that, eh?
Yeah, it is cool.
It is really cool. It was nice seeing the Oilers Nation logo there. It made me feel like
I was so
part
proud.
Of something. Yeah.
I drew that bitch in 2007, and to see that logo on their wall, like, what up, hoes?
Yeah.
That's how I talk to the acquiring company. I say, what up, hoes?
You know who I was thinking we should get on the pod right away, just as we crawl our way to the beginning of the regular season and just keep filling episodes? What about
Jordan
Ryder?
Buhat?
We had Jordan Buhat. He was great, isn't he? Just a sensational dude. I saw he did another workout video on Instagram shortly after we interviewed him. It made me very tired. My favorite thing about him is 110,000 followers on Instagram. You know, majority of his following, it's fair to assume, would be people who know him as an actor or like a CrossFit guy. Shit.
People love that.
But then he'll go do an Ask Me Anything, and there'll be questions like, do you think the Oilers can win the cup? And he's like, oh, I'm answering that. And then he'll be like, someone asked him top 5 Oilers goalies. So he went and listed his top 5 favorite Oilers goalies of all time. And I always think of like, you know, some 14-year-old girl from like Sacramento who loves the show Grownish and is like, oh, I follow Jordan Buhat on Instagram. I love him. And then is like, Jordan's live. Oh yeah. And then
you didn't put Rolly on your top 5, Buhat?
Right? This girl's like, what do you mean Devin Dubnik's 5th on your list? You're insane. Like, no clue who these people are. It's so good. I love that. Yeah. Who are you thinking? Who's coming? Who are we talking to? I was thinking, what about Ryder? We've talked with Ryder in a while. I got to get him on. I've been talking to him for a long time about coming on my podcast because I want to do a feature with people where we have a couple of beers and just bullshit.
That's cool.
So I've been trying to match up with him for a while, but he'd be great. He loves.
Did you see when he dressed up as the A&W guy?
Oh, nailed it.
God, was that funny?
He nailed it.
That is so funny that he did that to me, and then had Lisa come out dressed as a burger.
They make good content over there.
Great content. They very rarely, as like radio hosts, are you able to let a personality shine through, especially when you're doing music, right? Because you're just basically thrown into songs all the time. But they do a really good job. Yeah, they do. Or it's like there's a lot of like the hey, you know, like that kind of stuff on those stations where it's like, now coming up, Jason Mraz, I'm yours. Boing. Yeah. Yeah, but they do really good content. Their bits are good. They are good. There's some noise happening in my house right now. So no, we don't want Ryder on here to show us up with his professional skills. Who else you got on that list, Tyler? You see Laddie Schmid's coaching for the Oil Kings now? I want to get Laddie back on the show, actually. I think let's get him back. Let's do it. Because I'd also like to ask him just about, being at the World Juniors and what it was like watching some hockey in Edmonton in the middle of summer. He had a lot of good tweets going out during the World Juniors.
Can you guys hear that noise in the background of my area?
No.
Okay. There's something going on here and I can't figure it out.
Just apply one of those nice little filters that calms out that noise.
I do have one on.
You bought a house where someone's living in the wall?
Oh, you got a mouse infestation?
Oh, wall liver.
So there is this, I don't know if it's the same mouse, but like once every like 7 to 10 days, I'll see just across my deck run from like the little bush area underneath my deck, this mouse. And I can't tell if it's an issue for sure yet. I've set some traps, haven't caught them, laid out some poison, but I'm still seeing the mouse. I don't know if poison's the humane way to do it. Either way, I've been doing it.
Get a shotgun and wait there with a bottle of bourbon.
Yeah, that's the humane way to do it.
But there's now this neighborhood cat who Amber and I've become comfortable with, I guess. So he keeps like roaming into our yard. And I think he may have taken care of the mouse because I haven't now seen the mouse in like a handful of days. And this cat is in our yard. Like, I'm not even kidding. Every second morning we get woken up because we sleep with the bedroom window open. We get woken up by this cat sitting outside of our window meowing at us.
Oh my God. I hate cats.
Yeah,
see, I kind of like cats. Cat. He's cute.
I like cats too. I've got no qualms with cats, but like you need to feed that cat now. He's expecting you to feed
him. A dog will jump through a plate glass window if you're on fire to bring someone to save you. If you die with a cat in the house, it will eat your fucking eyeballs.
It'll be like, it's cooked.
Why would you want an eyeball eating predator in your house of your own free will? Ugh.
There's been a few times where like Amber and I will be sitting outside on our patio and the cat will come over and like, he's not scared. Like he comes and like crawls on you and like sits on your lap. He's a very friendly neighborhood cat. I don't know his name. He has no collar. I don't know if he has an owner. Should I take him?
Maybe it's not a real cat. Maybe you're hallucinating.
Maybe it's a government robot.
Yeah, the government's spying on you. You better check that cat.
Like my imaginary roommate, Mr. Green Jeans.
You better check that cat for batteries. Could be a spy rig for sure.
If nobody else sees the cat, there's a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You think
Amber's never seen the cat?
It could be a beautiful mind type situation.
I have pictures of it though.
Imagine you're sitting there petting the cat and you look at Amber and you're like, isn't this a great cat? And she's like, what cat? And you're like, the cat on my lap I'm petting. And she's like, Tyler, you're scaring me. There's no cat on your lap.
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize that Amber isn't real either.
Now he's looking for pictures that don't exist of this fictional cat.
He's like,
the cat
shit.
Exists.
Google cat and just send us a screenshot of the first cat.
Yeah. Oh, black cat. Never seen one of those before. Google.
There's proof. There's a person with cat.
Yeah. They definitely don't make cats like that anywhere else.
No. All right. Well, that's what's going on.
What I will say though is unless the cat ate the mouse under your deck, you definitely have more mice under that deck.
Oh yeah, big time. Take it from a man who lived with 20 odd mice in the pandemic.
So there was one day where my shower is in the basement. I'm downstairs in the basement, get out of the shower, look at the window well in like the laundry room area. And there were 3 little mice all jumping up, like looking in through the glass.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I might actually have a mouse problem. I'm coming to grips with this right now.
Yeah.
So they were in the window well, like pawing at the window and shit. And I was like,
no.
That sucks. Anyways, I went on vacation the next day. I just figured it'd take care of itself. Came back, 1 mouse carcass in the window well. The other 2.
That's the boy or the cat took care of the other 2 and he left 1 for the...
Or the other 2 like made it out maybe. And like this little guy, because they were just babies, was like too small to make it out and just died there. I don't know.
The cat or that mouse ate the other 2 mice and then died when there was no more mice left to eat.
Do you want me to send Frank over there? He's adept at catching rodents.
I would love to have Frank over.
He is, yeah. One of his first kills was a mouse.
Wow.
Yeah. He thought it was a toy, Tyler. He wanted to play with it, but unfortunately he shook it to death.
One time I saw a mouse just fall from the sky into my backyard.
That can't be possible.
Yeah, I don't think that happened.
It was back when I was living with my parents and I was just like sitting out there on their deck and overlooking the grass, doing whatever. It was like a random summer day. I was like 14 or 15.
And a mouse fell from the sky.
Yeah. And I think like a fucking bird dropped it.
No. It doesn't rain mice. It doesn't rain mice.
I know what I saw though.
If I knew for a fact that mice fall out of the sky, I'll never be able to go outside.
It was insane. Like I was literally just sitting there and it was just kind of like, what was that? Like out of the corner of my eye. and like I saw something like fall, and then I went over and there was just like a dead mouse. Like, meh. That'll happen.
I saw a mouse fall from the sky is going to be a hell of a title for this episode, Tyler.
A very minor part of the episode, but that's something that I saw once. I don't know. It's like a shooting star, right? Like you see it and then it's gone and the moment's evaporated. The
it's
mouse
like you're driving on a rural road and suddenly there's a UFO hovering above you and they want to bring you into their ship to do their experiments.
Yeah.
It all comes back to Chalmers.
You said you were out at the acreage.
Abducted.
Fire in the sky. You watch that movie and tell me you're not shook. I dare you.
I don't think I could.
I do want to watch it.
Aliens are kidnapping people left and right, you Ramchuck. I'm surprised nobody on this podcast hasn't been kidnapped during this podcast. The incidents are so high.
All right. We're going to... Chalmers, your take. This is why I think it'd be good to have a rotating person who's auditioning for the role of Chris Chalmers on the pod. Just have an extra fresh voice on the
podcast. Us three. Fuck it. There's a lot of vibes in this room.
I think that we should just have a fourth on a day we know that Chalmers is actually going to be in attendance of the podcast. And he'll be like, who the fuck's this guy? I'll be like, oh, well, we replaced you. And then that'll just be a bit we never tell him about because he's not listening to any of these episodes anyway.
No, not at all.
No. He doesn't even listen to himself when he's talking, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah, he's not checking his socials. So like there's no way even if people are like, hey, they replaced you, he'd never know.
He yelled at me at the golf tournament on Friday 2 Fridays ago now about how he was going to be back on the podcast. And I have yet to see him on an episode since he yelled at me at the golf tournament.
Yeah. All right. We got to give some love to our friends at Montana's. #GetMontana's with All You Can Eat Rib Fest on now until September 12th. That means you're slowly running out of days and weeks to go get some All You Can Eat ribs. They have 4 signature sauces. I've tried them multiple times. They're fantastic.
Is it really all you can eat?
Yeah, man. Yep. That's why we were powering back ribs like there's no tomorrow.
I don't know if they do this for everyone, but they let us take a bunch of them home as leftovers too.
Rack
Damn,
after rack.
Good in Montana, for real.
Mm-hmm.
They are legit. Mm-hmm. I haven't had ribs in quite some time, and now that I've had ribs, semi frequently of late, man, that's good living.
If I was ever forced to eat a human being at gunpoint, I think I'd have the ribs because I think it'd be kind of like an animal, and I could get.
Don't say shit like that.
Why? It's my
That's
truth.
disgusting.
It's
you
my
have a problem
truth.
with me saying a mouse fell from the sky, and yet you're gonna sit here and talk about like that.
You don't have a plan for being forced to be a cannibal to get out of a situation?
Yeah, Tyler, I'm just going straight to the cheeks. I've been watching a lot of Alone, and I know that they need fat in the wild to be able to survive. So I'm going right for the cheeks.
Is cheeks all fat?
I don't know. Depends what kind of cheeks you got. I guess how many squats you do.
I mean, if you're looking for anyways, you're MJ. If we don't want to talk about cannibalism, I don't even know what the reviews are going to be about next week. Certainly not cannibalism.
All right. You know what we're going to do to transition off this topic? We're going to pause for an ad. We're getting to that point in the summer.
What, the cannibalism talk?
God, we said none after the ad break. None.
There's literally nothing has happened in the Oilers world for the last 72 hours.
Philip Broberg went to an Edmonton Elks game.
I feel bad for the Elks sucking as bad as they do because I feel like Victor Quee's doing a really good job. And I feel like
how bad are they? I don't know anything about them.
Oh, buddy. They haven't won a game at home since they were named Elks.
Oh, no.
That was 12 years ago.
Tyler, they are 5th in the West. Now, my question for you is how many teams are in the West?
12.
No, not 12.
14.
Heading into their last game against the Red Blacks, there was like vague optimism that maybe they could sneak into what they'd call a crossover spot. But I don't even think that's possible anymore. They're 3-8 on the season. They're dead last in the West. The only team worse than them in the entire league is the Ottawa Red Blacks. I guess the Ticats are 3-8 as well. It's an insane.
The attendance, though, shit. The whole thing is just.
Is it?
I don't.
Yeah, man. There was photos on Twitter. It looked like there was I'm not even exaggerating, one person per row on average of the lower. Anyways, nobody was there.
And so for me, I check all the boxes of someone who should be a CFL fan. I love all kinds of sports. I do enjoy football. I like drinking. I like being outside. I like gambling. Canadian Football League should be right up my alley. And for whatever reason, I followed it more pre-pandemic. Maybe part of that was my job, but I followed it more pre-pandemic. I just have not gotten back into it at all. And I don't even know, like heading into every season, this season as well, I'm always like, oh, I'm going to get out to a couple of games. They're always a good time when I go, but then it's just never a priority. And there's a part of me that thinks the reason it's not working is because the Oilers were so damn good this year, went so deep. Everyone, sports fans were hooked on that. And when it gets to the summer, you're almost just kind of sportsed out. You're like, I'm not going to go sit and spend another $100 to get beers and transportation and tickets to an Elks game. Like, I'm going to go to the lake. I'm going to go do something else. Like, you're just filling your days with things that aren't sports because you did sports all winter.
It's interesting you said that because I had also planned on going to some Elks games this summer. But for me, like, it's one of those things where I never know when they are. So I'll be like, I'm going to go to an Elks game this weekend. They'll be like, oh, it was on Friday. I was like, oh, well, it's Saturday now. Well, I guess I'm not going this weekend.
I've been super busy all summer attending Paris Hilton raves in the metaverse.
Oh, yeah, you got it.
So I just don't have a moment to spare to go to Elks games. I'm sorry.
See, and I can't tell if you're kidding.
Paris Hilton metaverse raves, those are real.
And you're attending?
Paris Hilton has declared she's the #1 DJ in the metaverse and the queen of the metaverse. And I would defy you to find a bigger girl DJ in the metaverse than Paris Hilton.
Have you watched any of the Zuckerberg interview yet, Wanye?
You ready for this?
Go ahead.
I love Joe Rogan. He's white man's Oprah, right? I love him. But it's hard for me to watch Spotify because it's not on my TV, whereas YouTube clips were on the TV. And that doesn't even make any sense. And you would say, Wanye, Zuckerberg doesn't sit down for interviews ever. And you went 3 hours with Joe Rogan. What are you talking about? I'm like, I know.
Bag Milk, did you watch it?
I didn't watch it for the exact same reason. Before, back in the day, you would just go to Joe Rogan's YouTube page and you just flip it up on the TV and you just watch it like a TV show. But now, like, I can find it on Spotify. Like, that's not a problem. But it's just the convenience of it is a problem for me.
Well, then it's on my phone.
It was so convenient.
Yeah, and like I have it only on my phone, Spotify apps. Then Zuckerberg and Rogan are being tiny little heads like we are right now on my phone that I'm recording the pod on. I will get to it. I'm amazed that Zuck did that.
I am too. I was actually amazed too. One of the clips that I did watch, I was interested in his candor, where he basically just said every single morning is the worst morning ever, is like a gut punch because of the information that floods his inbox every single morning. Yeah. He said every single morning is like a gut punch. And then he has to fuck off and go like surfing or something for an hour or two to reset his brain after reading his morning emails.
I believe it, man.
I believe it 100%.
That's messed up.
The shit that guy knows.
Oh, he knows the worst of us.
Like just the other day was I reading. A guy was live. Sorry, go ahead.
Another clip that I watched that I think that you would find interesting too is just how he talked about like, well, first of all, every morning is awful. And secondly, it's something you and I have talked about a bunch of times where he's like, listen, if you remember, the goal of this was to write a platform to connect people, not to be an arbitrator of what is right and wrong and good and false and true and whatever. I just found some of his answers in the short. I'm going to say of the 3 hours, I've probably watched about 30 minutes so far in aggregate in these clips. I just thought he was very forthcoming and I was surprised by it.
Zuckerberg, it has the gravitas and life of a world leader who's unelected, right? I don't think that you can't look to people in the business world for people who have a life like Zuckerberg. He's named in 1 in 3 American divorces, right? Mm-hmm. Facebook, not Zuckerberg. And so he rolls with like a presidential security team, right? Everybody hates him, right? Like, you know how bad it is when you get like 3 bad reviews of your podcast. One guy says you're super lazy and never come on your own podcast. Zuckerberg invented fucking Facebook. Think about how much people hate on him on his own shit.
Also, an interesting note that I thought is took a minor shot at Elon in the interview.
Really?
Did he? Go on.
He said he appreciates that he's working. Well, I'm paraphrasing, of course. He appreciates that he's working on Neuralink, but he's like, nobody wants a chip in their brain, especially not in the 10 to 15 years.
He's wrong. Sorry, Zuck. Nobody wants to be in your metaverse, bro. That's the response.
So I was just a little bit surprised they took a minor, not a major, but a minor shot at Elon.
Well, Elon shot on Zuck about AI, right?
Oh, did he say his AI sucks or something?
No, he's just like, Zuckerberg goes, AI is not a threat to humanity. And Elon goes, it's nice that Mark thinks that, but he has no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah. I like when billionaires argue.
I think that, like, is Zuckerberg an engineering genius, you think?
I don't know enough about programming languages to have any idea whether or not, or how good or not he is. I think he's a master delegator.
Is that what is his genius, do you think? Or is he not a genius? He's just a rich guy. What do you think?
I think he's a master delegator, and he had a vision where he had the people, the knowledge and the ability to get the people to execute his vision. And I think he delegates everything properly to make sure that what he wants comes out.
Is that what the gist you were getting from the shows, that he delegates everything?
Well, I mean, there was a bunch of, like, again, I only watched in 30 minutes of a 3-hour interview, but like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's delegated, but there's a lot of it that makes sense too, right? It's just like, as an example, he's talking about content, what is false and what's not what's not fake news on Facebook. And he's like, how the fuck am I supposed to know? We have like a third party, board that they handle that. He's like, of course, I'm the CEO. I have to know about all that stuff. But he's like, but that's not what I'm doing. And I think that that's a lot of stuff for Facebook. Like, does he know what's going on? Sure. But he's got people for that now, or at least he should, for fuck's sakes. And then that got me thinking about Tom from MySpace again, how he just did it right. He secured the bag and he bailed before shit hit the fan. And I respect it. He is now a travel photographer. I learned over the weekend.
Zuckerberg had a deal worked out with Rupert Murdoch to sell Facebook for $1 billion. Check.
Okay.
And then he didn't do the deal.
Probably smart.
And like, now Facebook's over $1 trillion market cap, but Zuckerberg looks like an aging lizard, right?
Yeah.
You wonder how happy his life would have been if he just got the MySpace bag and left, right? Tom from MySpace does nothing stressful.
Yeah. Find him. Fucking find him. I spent like an hour looking for Tom from MySpace on the weekend to find out he's a travel photographer.
And he's still using his old avatar photo.
It's the best. Tom's 50 years old. He got paid like $350 million from MySpace. He's living his best life.
I think the problem with Facebook came when they introduced news feeds.
Oh, sure.
Because up until that point, it was just sort of a MySpacey and your friends talk and show their photos, but you weren't sharing articles from fake newspapers and shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
They wanted to turn Facebook into like your personal internet. And I think not realizing the implications of what type of shit are people going to say to each other and what type of content are they going to share, by and large, is not good.
Yeah, because I think this was 3-4 years ago, I was reading something with Zuck where he just said he wants to own your internet experience so that when you go on, you get your news and your weather and everything right on Facebook.
Right. The problem with that is that the world has become like hyper politicized and divided and shit. And so all people want to use the internet now for is shitting on each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Twitter guy. Look at Jack Dorsey, man. Look at the impact of inventing Twitter. He's got like the long ass beard, the nose ring and shit now. And like, has rejected capitalism. Like the people who invented these technologies, I think, have to live with the outcomes of them sometimes that are completely unintended. Zuckerberg wanted to
100%.
Zuckerberg didn't. Yeah. He doesn't want to be the arbitrator of the world's news. A gut punch every morning. And then you have to wear 12 layers of sunscreen to go surf till your brain resets. Yikey.
Yeah, I also thought it was interesting that specifically he chooses activities like surfing because you can't. He's like, I had to stop running because I kept getting lost in my own head.
Oh,
so he's like, so I picked up activities like surfing where it's like 100% focus on this or you will not do that activity, which I thought was interesting. But it also lends into the horrible shit he's finding out every single morning in his inbox.
Well, and it'll be like, oh, yeah, they did another protest in Myanmar and they had all these people show up and then executed everybody who showed up. And he's like, damn, why'd we go live in Myanmar? It's like, you wanted at the time to be the world's internet.
Yeah. It's wild. I'm looking forward to watching the rest of it. But again, to start off this conversation, it's just inconvenient, and it's slightly inconvenient. And if I've got YouTube now right on my TV and I can watch literally anything I want always, come on.
Can you watch the Joe Rogan podcast on Spotify, or does it exist solely?
No, you can
audio?
watch, but it's just like tiny on your phone, right? Unless you download or you watch it on your computer. But
yeah, I imagine I could probably blast it to my TV somehow. I just haven't looked into it.
what am I, goddamn Geek Squad engineer? How am I supposed to know how to do all this shit?
Exactly. Instead, I'll watch Mr. Beast starve himself for 30 days or whatever the fuck his latest video is.
I like how every episode also comes with a learn more about COVID-19 button.
Oh, you got to. You know what I started watching? Now I've quit already one day in is Beard versus Food or some shit. Have you heard of this?
No.
Mm-mm.
This guy's like a professional fast eater. And he just like goes to restaurants or like, can you finish this huge steak? And then of course he does. It's like, can you eat this massive breakfast? It's only been done twice in 9 years. He pounds through it. It's like disgusting if you want to watch it. It's really good.
So I love that you just brought this up. The reason is that I went to high school with a guy who is making his own like independent version of those food challenges, but around Edmonton.
Cool.
So he like goes into various restaurants and he'll be like, I'll have a 2-pound donair, please. And they're like, okay, only one person's ever finished it. And then he'll get like a third of the way through. And he's like, God damn, that was a lot of donair. I'm not going to do this one.
Oh, he gives up? Oh, he's not Beard versus Food. This motherfucker ate the biggest breakfast I've ever seen in 11 minutes.
Oh, it's my favorite. So anyway, that's a dude that I went to high school with. He actually just released a new video of doing this today. I'm very excited to watch it, and I hope he fails.
It'd be funny to do like not impressive food challenges where you're like, I'm going to go to McDonald's and have a 1/4 pounder meal with a medium fries. If that's
I'm going to take an hour. I'm going to take an hour to watch.
I'm going to have 3 donuts.
Yeah, I'm going to be the reverse. Yeah, I'm going to be the reverse Nikado avocado guy. And I'm just going to eat like very small portions of things, be full and satiated, and put the rest away.
Do you know the story of Nikado avocado, your M check?
Nope.
That's a trip.
Oh,
I know all about it.
You want to walk your M check through this circus of humanity?
Do you know what a mukbang is, your M check?
Nope.
So this dude became, and feel free to jump in, Wanye, if I'm missing stuff, because my Nikado avocado history is probably not as polished as it should be. This guy just started doing food challenges on his YouTube page, and they started blowing up, where he just kept doing it and getting more and more crazy until he himself too blew up. And then recently there was like a where's Nikado avocado thing. He was missing for a while. So yeah, he's just a YouTuber that he has these crazy, gross food challenges, and he just eats and gorges. And I don't really get it, but that's
he started out as a vegan food channel, and he's like,
oh right, fit. That is true. Yes,
he's fighting fit, and he's
and then
like,
he quit.
And then he started like I think mukbangs. Is that the word?
Yeah, mukbangs.
So it's like, can you eat 12 shrimp tacos? And he eats 12 shrimp tacos. But like one day he started like spazzing on air and like freaking out about his life while he was eating all his food. And then that got super popular. Yeah. His shtick is like eating all his food and having emotional breakdowns all the time. And it's funny. Like, it's not funny, but it is funny. But like millions of people watch this shit. So if you go watch his stuff on YouTube, it's like part mental breakdown, but also a food challenge. And his audience is like so toxic. They always tell him off and shit. It's really bizarre.
And he himself got large. In one of the last videos that I watched of him, he was wearing one of those like CPAP machines while he was fucking eating. He had to have oxygen.
That can't be real, is it?
I don't know if it's real.
Yeah, I just saw one of the last videos.
But is that like obviously that's happening? But I'm saying, is he doing this for effect?
Is it theater? Perhaps he is a showman after all.
Is it Broadway?
Nikado avocado. We're talking about weird shit on the podcast today, Tyler.
How do you not know Nikado avocado, your M check? Your brain is just sports.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm looking at this now.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
doesn't upload. I don't know.
I like that what Wanye and I spend time looking at on the internet is not at all what you spend time looking at on the internet.
No,
No.
no.
Yeah, Nikado avocado.
At the beginning of this, here's how my TV patterns have changed. I never used to watch any streaming platforms at all, right? I mostly would watch like DVDs and shit like that or sports. Then Netflix came out. Eventually I got it. Okay, fine. DVDs went away. Okay, fine. So most of your time spent watching Netflix and sports. Now, only YouTube, man.
Really?
Yeah, man. The only time I'm ever on cable is just for Oilers games. I don't even want Netflix. I don't even want Amazon Prime. I don't want any of this shit. I just need YouTube.
I agree with you 100%. Like since I don't remember when I told you I bought my new TV like a month ago, 2 months ago, maybe, but that one now has YouTube built into the fucking TV.
Yeah, so is mine.
Yeah.
I spend so much more time watching YouTube now that I just have it on my TV. Like yesterday was Sunday, doing a little Sunday fun day, you know, having a couple of nation beers. Cause why not?
Why not? Why not?
I just was blasting concerts all day on YouTube and it's the best.
When
Like,
I
you
go to
wanna watch-
another person's house and I watch their YouTube, I'm like, oh, I wish this was my YouTube.
100%.
Then I go home to my algorithm and I click on YouTube and I'm like, that's better. It knows exactly what I like.
Exactly. Exactly.
Thanks,
YouTube
YouTube.
knows all.
Ding.
YouTube knows all. It's like, Bag Milk, do you want to watch Kendrick live in Chile? And I'm like, you know I do. You know I do.
Do you want to watch Nikado Avocado have a breakdown while eating pumpkin pies? You know I do.
You know I want to watch Mr. Beast challenge his friend to some absurd challenge in which he will throw him $100,000.
YouTube always asks me if I want to watch these 3 songs because I watch them all the time. And I'll be scrolling down. It's like, do you want to listen to this again? I'm like, I do want to listen to that song again. I've probably watched these 3 songs daily for a year now because it always suggests them to me. I'm like, you're right, YouTube.
That was me with Popstar by Drake when that song first came out. Specifically the
fine
video with Bieber.
Yeah.
When the video first came out, I watched that song that's so many times. YouTube just imagined I was in the video, I think. I love it.
That is a
YouTube's
fine
the best.
track. This new DJ Khaled album, by the way, is hot garbage.
There's a couple of good tunes on there, but I would generally agree.
Yeah. I was very like, it just didn't live up to the hype for me. Like I was so excited when you kind of get like the feature list of what he's got going on there.
Mm-hmm.
But the one
You see
like,
Drake's on it, Kanye's on it, Jay-Z's on it, and you're like, God damn.
yeah. So like you see Drake's on it twice and you're like, okay, the one song isn't that good. But then like, oh, he starts the album with another Drake song. Like it's probably so good. It's like a 45-second random thing. Makes no sense. The song God Did, I was very excited for. Rick Ross, Lil Wayne, Jay-Z. That one's just long. It's
But
good.
it's like
but it's long.
celebratory gospel shit.
I
I
know.
want bangers, god damn
Yeah.
it. I want something that makes the bass bump.
I love bangers.
Way Past Luck with 21 Savage. That one's good.
Yeah. Staying
Part-
Alive or whatever that is with the Eddie Murphy song, Party All the Time.
It's all right.
Quavo and Takeoff. That's that
Yes.
I do enjoy.
That one's good.
I was
That's
bummed.
actually
I was super excited about Use This Gospel with Kanye and Eminem, and it's just
too.
kind of like, nah.
fell
Here,
flat.
you want to know something shocking? I don't really like Eminem much anymore, man. It's
Neither
the
do I.
same cadence. It's
Yep.
the same rhythm. It's the same fucking song over and over and over.
Yo, I was literally, when I listened to that Eminem Kanye song for the first time, that is the exact thought I had. I was like, he just does the same flow for every song now. Like he'll speed up for like 10 seconds and then it's the same thing. And it's like, God, like reinvent yourself if you want to keep going, my guy.
Yeah, and like the fact that you're like able to like rattle off this rapid fire shit all the time, Eminem, and like your clever wordplay. Like I don't know, man. Old Eminem when he was on drugs and stuff, he was telling interesting stories. It wasn't all about like puns and allegories and shit. I don't know.
Feels like he doesn't even write them anymore, though. It feels like they're all like focus grouped of like, what will Eminem fans like? And it's like, like these puns and like all this stuff. Like hit them with a few zingers.
Here's the other thing I don't like. DJ Khaled's new teeth.
Oh.
They're enormous.
They are big. They are
Holy
big.
hell. He went to the VMAs and he started smiling. And I was like, Jesus H, what the hell has DJ Khaled got a bloody grill in for? And it was just his new teeth.
I keep forgetting to make this a button on the Roadcaster. But the fact that DJ Khaled now starts some of his songs by yelling real life.
Does he?
Oh yeah, we got to start using that.
What I would say is DJ Khaled's album, not nearly as good as a very similar album, Calvin Harris's, that came out, what was that, like 2 weeks ago?
A new Calvin Harris album?
Yeah, Calvin Harris featuring like 21 Savage and all Busta Rhymes is on it. Like there's a bunch of like big hitters on there. And
I'm gonna download that right now.
The one with
new Calvin Harris album is much better.
Whew. The one with 21 Savage is sick. New Money. It starts the
New
album.
Money's so good.
Wow. Yeah. Holy shit. How have I not seen this yet? He got
Funk Wave Bounces Volume 2.
Wow.
Is that what I'm looking for?
Yep. Funk Wave Bounces.
Funk Wave Bounces. Remember when Calvin Harris fake dated Taylor Swift?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
What was that all about?
I don't know.
I was also thinking about when Paris Hilton dated Afrojack, and he taught her how to DJ. Now the biggest DJ in the metaverse.
She had a rave in the metaverse the other day. And this may be within the last year, and like 300,000 people watched it on the metaverse.
Jesus.
Travis Scott had a metaverse concert, and like they said, over 500,000 people went to it or something.
Still a bunch of little like looking people all got trampled at his fucking metaverse concert too.
Yeah, you look over in virtual Wanye, I'm like an 11-foot unicorn furry with like 12 tits and like a fur bikini. I'm like, what up, guys? You're at the Paris Hilton show too? You're like, that's what Wanye looks like in the metaverse? I wouldn't have expected that.
That's what I would do too. I'd be extremely large and I could fly.
We're
multi-titted metaverse concert attendance.
Yeah. Like a cow, even.
What do you mean it's the off season? There's nothing to talk about.
I was going to say, I do really enjoy when it is just the three of us because I don't do any prep and it just goes where it goes. And I think people like that. So why not? Why not?
8 reviews of 1 star can't be wrong on Apple.
Amen.
Before we wrap up, shout out to Alfa Romeo, our luxury car partner here at the Nation, and Cattail Crossing, our preferred golf course. We had a great time there at the Oilers Nation Open. Can't wait to do fun things like that again. And I can't wait to check out Cattail again for the end of the season. Wanye, Bag Milk, I guess we'll talk on Thursday when we're interviewing someone who was on Big Brother Canada. So we're going to fire them. We only got them for a little bit of time, but we're going to fire them questions about what it was like and all that good stuff since we talk a lot of Big Brother. So,
so good.
All right. That's going to be a wrap on episode 408. Talk to everybody later.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Real Life Podcast. Don't want to miss any of our nonsense? Hit the subscribe button and give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram.